We're back with an Asics Gel-lyte 3, and I've done a couple of Gel-lyte 3s before. I know a little bit about the technology in Asics, not a huge amount. It's not one of those main players in the sneakers game, but you know, I've dug into them a couple of times. And these guys in particular, it was all about the name. Here I am in Tokyo, Japan, and these guys are called the back streets of Japan. So I was like, whoa, that's a sneaker I definitely want to have a look at. And then I jumped into them and I was like, oh, okay. That's kind of dull and boring. There isn't anything on there about Japan. But then it was these pictures here that are flashing behind me right now. You'll see what I'm calling the green and calling the blue. And you see the pictures here. There's something about those guys that just really, you know, it's like, yeah, you know what? Back streets of Japan, I get it. Because of what's behind those pictures, behind the shoes in the background, made me realize that these are actually a very cool take on the back streets of Japan. And that's exactly why I'm bringing this video to you guys today. So there's a lot to talk about, some hits on the shoes, explaining why both of these shoes represent, they're very different shoes, but both of them do represent the back streets of Japan. So without further ado, let's get into this and take a look at the upcoming release of the Asics Gel-lyte 3, Back Streets of Japan. This is the Tokyo Bara 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Bara 23 Sneaker Channel です。毎日アップするので、毎日見てください. And every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And here we've got a shoe coming on March the 19th about the back streets of Japan from Asics, the Gel-lyte 3. Quickly, just about the Gel-lyte 3, I'm pretty sure I've got a picture of something to do with the technology for these guys from a previous video. And it's all about that gel. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It's a gel. It's not air. It's not boost. It's not tiny little cushioned ball pellets that are housed in the midfoot, midsole area, so you can get cushioning on there that way. It's actual gel, and the idea about this stuff is that it has what, you know, in science they would call resilience. Basically, when you push it down or you manipulate it or change its shape, it bounces back to exactly the same shape that it was before, which is kind of handy when you're stepping on these things hundreds of thousands of times in the life, the lifespan of a shoe like this. So that gel, you know, gives you the cushion, but it doesn't wear down as it gradually gets sort of softer. If you think like the cushions on a sofa after Homer Simpson has sat in the same place for a few months, the cushions gradually lost their shape. But these guys, because of that gel on the inside, they don't lose their shape and they keep that cushioning all the way through. That's Asics' technology. Adidas has Boost, Nike has Air. You know, the Puma actually originally had those little pellets in the midsole, which Nike last year or the year before kind of took over. So yeah, that's the Asics way. That's what Asics did to kind of get in on the cushion midsole game to give you a soft ride without losing the structure and the shape of the shoe. So that's a little bit about the Gel-lyte, or Gel-lyte 3 in particular. And then these shoes here, I was talking about those two pictures that really did it for me, and I thought I'd give you some insight into this. I'm going to do it in two ways. The first way I'm going to give you insight to this is because I'm here in Japan. I'm going to talk about playlists, and the first playlist I'll sling one up somewhere where there's links that you can get to them is living in Japan. Somebody recently put a comment down below about saying, oh, you should do videos about living in Japan. There's actually a playlist on the channel page about that, about what it's like to live here in Japan. So it's well worth checking out if you want to see actual, you know, street views, what I'm doing out and about in the world. And we'll get to the second playlist in a minute, but first I wanted to get into these shoes to explain, you know, what I'm talking about. That playlist about, you know, living in Japan really has some insight into this. And what I'm talking about is what's in the background here. So the green pair, let's bring up the green pair first, and you can see in the background the green pair, there's a sort of rustic, kind of earthy, woody sort of feel to the background there, and that totally represents the back streets of Japan. And especially what's really surprising is that in Tokyo, where I live, you get some of the most expensive real estate in the world. Seriously, but per square meter in certain parts of Tokyo, it is outrageously expensive to rent or to buy real estate. But you can go like 100 or 200 meters round the corner and you're already into tiny little alleyways, one-way streets without sidewalks, of buildings just exiting straight onto the street where the cars drive and stuff like that. And that rustic, kind of earthy and wooden feel is what you see in those back streets of Japan. So the green pair and what's behind it in the picture there, that really helped me represent, you know, understand that shoe represents the sort of old and antique and wooden sort of element of the back streets of Japan. And then we flip it out to the blue ones, and you can see it's a much brighter, much sort of more popping feel to the shoe. And I'm reminded of a Shed 7, if anyone knows a band called Shed 7. A Shed 7 song, I think it's the first song of their Maximum High album, where there's a line in it that says, "And she shines like Tokyo," or you shine like Tokyo. And Tokyo surely does shine. It is a city of light. If you ever see it at night time, it's a beautiful, beautiful city, all lit up. And then when you get close to it, it's all neon and lights. And one of the big things about Tokyo is that a lot of the shops are on the second, third, fourth, fifth floor, whereas I'm from the UK, and just about every shop is on the ground floor and nowhere else. And to attract your attention up high to these buildings, these stores and businesses that are up on the higher floors, big bright neon lights to kind of bring your eyes up off of that sort of level plane and a little bit higher. And this shoe, the blue one, which is kind of blue/pink, definitely represents that kind of neon back street of Japan, the bright lights of the back street of Japan. So I totally get the shoes now. I didn't get them. I was loving it when I saw the name, and I was disappointed when I saw the shoes and there was nothing special in there that jumped out and said Tokyo or Japan. But then, like seeing the colorway and understanding the way it's put together with that sort of rustic feel of the back streets of Japan, and then that modern feel with the neon back streets of Japan, I totally get it and totally understand these shoes. And the final thing in that element of this video, we'll go into the actual details of the shoe now, but the thing is, I want to throw up another playlist. The first one was about living in Japan, and the other one was about vlogs. There's a playlist about vlogs, which is doing longer videos, 20, 25-minute videos, 15-minute videos, stuff like that. Me cycling along by one of the rivers in Japan, going to visit the homeless city in Yoyogi Park in Tokyo, and stuff like that. So two playlists that you can check out the channel. One about living in Japan, the other one about the vlogs I've done in the past about living in Japan too. So hopefully that'll give you guys an insight into what it's like to be here and understand these shoes a little bit better. And speaking of understanding these shoes, let's get into it and look at some of the details on it. Now, the first thing I want to do, I'm going to use the green ones first for this, is that both shoes have this mesh element that really sort of houses the main element of their colorway. So we're on the green ones already, probably looking at the midfoot side, and you can see right in the middle of that Asics brand in there, that kind of mesh effect. A little bit, Air Jordan 4 mesh, if you know what I'm saying, that kind of grid in there, and it's very green to match that, theme of the colorway. And then that's mimicked on the back, on the heel of these guys again, with that green kind of mesh effect. And if we go across to the blue guys, midfoot in pink this time, very sort of sakura, cherry blossom pink as well, very Japanese color. And then round to the heel, you can see that mesh on there as well. So that's two of the main elements of design that really bring out the kind of colors of the shoe. Another way they do that is on the outsoles. So since we're already on the blue, let's flip to the outsoles of the blue ones, and you can see how much color is going on those guys. Big splashes of pink to complement the blues, and then we flip that out to the first pair, the green pair, and you can see again that more earthy kind of rustic feel to this shoe is represented on the outsole there, especially with that almost olive kind of military green color. Very earthy, very foresty, very sort of brown meets green to give you that earthy feel on there. And then if we're on the greens, we might as well go up to the eye stays and look at the lacing system on the green ones. You can see that 2 out of the 5 or 6 eye stays up there have got green plastic wrapping around them, and then flipping back to the blue guys, you see it's pink up there on their ones as well. So little splashes of colour throughout the shoe that gives them that kind of narrative and take them in very different directions, the neon of the blues and the earthy greens of the green ones. So, but the main feature of the shoe, the biggest, I think it might be the biggest talking point of the shoe, is not about the gel, it's not about the colours, it's not about the name. It's about the tongue. So let's have a look from above at one of the tongues of these guys here, and you'll notice straight away they're split up the middle. And it's that the brands are doing this. They're always trying to rethink what has been a standard in the shoes, forever. They've always had laces in the same way, always had a heel count in the same way, always had this, that, and the next thing in the same way. And they always try and think, okay, the tongue has always been a flat piece like this, but maybe if we could make it like more of a, split down the middle instead instead of splitting down the sides. Let's give that a shot. And that's, you know, I can see the designers coming up with this one. So there's two things about it. One is that the tongue itself isn't a single unit. There's two units that come from left and right. I've got no idea what the feel would be like on these guys. Would love to know, so let me know in the comments down below. And the other thing is that if you taper it back from there, you can see how the tongues, the two sides of the tongues actually meld into the lining of the shoe, and up there on the ankle, you can see that the lining kind of comes out and then feeds into that tongue and runs all the way down the lacing system there. So it's a two-part tongue, and it's very much strongly attached to the lining on these guys. So now we'll come back to something, I don't know what we'll be looking at behind me here to finish this one up, but to give you an idea of those two shoes again, that green rustic back streets of Japan with the wooden buildings and the sort of higgledy-piggledy buildings and all, you know, ancient feel to the place, and then you can go one block over and it's all modern, neon and concrete and you know, the 21st century. So so I dig these shoes. I get what they're saying. I know what they're doing with them now. I didn't get it at first, but I totally get it now, and hopefully this video has helped you to understand what they're doing with the shoes as well. For now though, it's time for me to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out the content, and I've just nothing left to do except for do the thing that I do at the end of every single video, which is remind you that I do this every single day, and because of that, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.